Hi everyone, it's Monday Q&A for Ask Like an Auctioneer. Dia Bondi here from the roof of my office. You might hear a little bit of background noise because there's all kinds of things getting made down in and around these warehouse buildings where I have my office here in West Berkeley. So today's question comes from a workshop I taught 2 weeks ago at a large global organization. I was at a very intimate group of high potential marketers, and a gentleman raised his hand and asked a question in the room, which was sort of about his experience making asks and getting answers, and sort of how he felt about them. His question was like, hey, when I go make a really big ask, and sometimes this actually holds me back from asking for what I really want or what I really need to achieve my goals. Oh look, they're coming down over here. They're coming down from the roof. I hope they're safe. What I really want and need in my goals, for my goals, I often pull punches, or when I get an answer, even when I get a yes to a really big risky ask, I feel guilty and worried that because the person that I made the ask to likes me, or because I was, maybe a little too direct, that I pressured them into saying yes when they really meant maybe or no, and I have guilt about that. What do I do about that? And my answer to him was, stop doing that. Okay, number one, the coaching model that I use, and it really feels very aligned to just who I am, is that we have to hold our audiences, our clients, our counterparts as naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. If they say yes, we have to trust they mean yes. And if they said yes when they mean maybe, that is their responsibility, not yours. You can have a conversation about that should it come up. But if they say yes, assume they mean yes. Now, if I'm drawing from everything I've learned from the world of auctioneering to help you ask for more and get it in your careers, there's one story that stood out for me in the workshop that I'd completely forgotten about that might be useful to you. Because I had a similar struggle early on, standing in front of a room thinking about selling an item at a fundraiser, making sure that my audience was raising their paddle when they meant to. Where was my responsibility there? So I asked one of the professional auctioneers, hey, so I'm going to be doing fundraising events. At fundraising events, there's a fair bit of alcohol flowing, and people are having a great time with their friends. And sometimes by the time the auction rolls around, a handful of people have already had a few drinks. What is my responsibility in knowing that people who are raising their paddles, and even maybe what do I do if I recognize that somebody raising their paddle is maybe a few drinks past being rational? And the auctioneer said to me, who's been a professional auctioneer for many years, said to me, here's the deal. It's not your responsibility. Your job is to make the ask, and whoever raises the paddle, that's their responsibility, no matter what your perceived idea of their state is. And here's he shared with me that years before that, he had been doing auctioneering an equine auction. So they were racehorses or breeders or something. And he told me a gentleman in the back of his audience kept raising his paddle. Well, this auctioneer I was talking to recognized that gentleman had been drinking all day and was clearly inebriated, but kept raising his paddle and raising his paddle. And he, as an auctioneer, thought, should I even be accepting these as real? And he was winning. The guy that was bidding was winning. Should I be accepting them? He asked himself, is this real, or is this guy real deal, or is he just drunk? Well, he sold a handful of horses to that gentleman, crossing his fingers and hoping that he would make good on his bids. Turns out at the end of the day, he showed up with a check. This gentleman who'd been winning these horses showed up with a check for a couple of $1 million and went home with the horses that he bid on. So we can't make assumptions about where people are. Our job is to just make the ask and see what happens, and assume that people mean what they're doing. They're meaning business when they're coming back to you with the answers, whether it's yes, no, or some kind of negotiate. So that is my answer for you today. If you're one of those people that is pulling punches because you feel like you're responsible both for making the ask and everything to do with the answer that you get, stop doing that. Take responsibility for making a big, courageous ask for yourself, and let the rest belong to the person who responds to you. If you have a question for me, having to do with asking as a success strategy in your career, whether it's around money negotiations or something else, you can DM me on all the platforms. You can find me on Instagram at Dia Bondia. You can DM me here if you're watching me on LinkedIn. You can also reach out to me at hello@asklikeanauctioneer, and I'd love to hear your questions and your experiences around the role of asking in your career. So have a fantastic week. See you soon.